assisting us. I really hope that the students benefit from this and that they are 7 steps ahead on trying to obtain better marks for the final exam, which is less than a week away. Ms. Adlam, are you ready?
I am.
Right, over to you. Thank you, ma'am.
Right. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. I'm still in teacher mode here. So when I was approached to ask to assist you with the HTML, those of you who had been attending the intervention sessions that we did previously for the June exams, if I remember correctly, you would have had me helping you there with the HTML as well. And I just want to let you know that there are a couple of things I'm going to touch on before we start with the paper. Some things that you must realize you can. And sorry, we've got quite a thunderstorm going on here. There's quite a few things that I want you to focus on what you can do and what you cannot do to the data that you're given. So that's what I want to start with first before I start with the actual question paper. So the first thing I have in front of me here is I have listed the HTML tag sheet. Now, this is a great resource. It comes in all of your practical papers. It is available for you to use, but you need to understand that you cannot quote verbatim, meaning that if they tell you to change the body color of a page, you can use this as a reference, but do not follow everything in here because they might not be asking you to change the body color to pink, but possibly to a light blue or a green. So you need to still follow the instructions that are given in the question paper to ensure that you obtain the marks that are due to you and that you are then warranted to getting. Another thing is we find a lot of the time that the tag sheet sometimes is still very intact in your question paper. Remember, your question paper is your question paper. So if you want to take the last 2 pages, which is the tag sheet and your input mask codes, and you want to remove them from your question paper so that you can look at it to use, please by all means do that. Tear it out at the back and use it there for yourself that you can have a look and refer to when you need to. You will have done enough HTML in class and in school time that you do not need to actually literally just type this out bit by bit. But if you do feel you hit a blank or there's something that happens and we can't remember all of the code, then of course the tag sheet is there for you to refer to so that you can use it as a reference. Okay, but do not quote from the actual tag sheet. Follow the instructions in the question paper. Right, the second thing that I want to mention is when it comes to the data. So remember, when you have the data in front of you, you are going to have the question that you're working with that is going to come in a HTML document. Remember, you are going to open this up, and you'll see in the question papers they tell you to open it up in your actual viewing, be it on Chrome or whichever it is that you are using, as well as in the HTML Notepad editor. And majority of the schools are using the Notepad++. So if you right click on it, it will come up and you'll be able to open up your Notepad++ with that document intact that you're working with. And it will then look something like this. Now, something that you must not do, please do not delete these comments that they give us in green. Remember, these comments are there to actually help you. These comments are there to guide you as to where you should be putting the text and the actual coding that you are adding on the paper or on the actual data. All right. So they use this as a guide for you to see where you should be using it. We normally have 2 questions when it comes to the paper. So the first question, your 6.1, is normally quite straightforward. There are different sections given to you in the actual question 1, 6.1.1, 6.1.2, 6.1.3. And then you are given the comment in here to guide you as to where to place it. But then we have our 6.2. And in our 6.2, you will see there are no comments whatsoever in here to guide you anywhere in it. And that is where our level 3 and level 4 questions come from, is normally questions, the second part of the question. Okay, the other thing is, and I'm going to open up the question paper for this one, is in your question paper, you will always see at the very end that there's normally something what in the beginning mentions that it has the here. 1 mark will be allocated for the correct use of tags, triangular brackets, and the correct nesting. Now, this is basically a mark that is sort of given to you, and you need to do something to lose it. All right, so we cannot penalize you if all of your coding is correct or whatever it is, and you've used the correct tags, you've closed them, you've done the brackets and all of those things, and the nesting is correct, then you're given this mark. Okay, number 1, you have to have done the actual question. You can't just get it for free. But if you have done all of the coding and everything is correct, you will then get that 1 mark. So I'm going to quickly go through what they mean by the correct use of tags. When they are looking at that, we are looking at things like, for example, have you closed any tag that has been opened? If you have now gone and inserted extra coding, have you closed that coding? All right. The second part is the triangular brackets. Now, for some other reason, sometimes we miss a triangular bracket. It happens. As we are going through the paper, we know it's a stressful time, and we can then forget to use a triangular bracket, especially when we're adding in like something to a font or whatever it is. And if you forget the triangular bracket, you will lose it the first time, but you will then get it the next time. We won't continue deducting it. And then the last one is the nesting. And this is the very important part. Nesting is basically when it comes to the order that you have opened and closed your tags. Remember, I always say it's like when I teach my kids, I say it's like an onion. The last thing that you've opened must be the first thing that you close, so that I can draw a circle. It must match that circle, you know, and then as I go out, it follows in that same order. So the nesting needs to follow. If I've opened up a heading and then I've opened up a font, I need to close my font first and then I close my heading style. So it just depends on this mark should be a mark that you all get because you should be coding correctly throughout the whole thing. Right. Are there any questions so far on what I have explained before I start the actual question paper analysis?
I don't see anything in the chat. Erin, you are more than welcome to proceed.
All right. Okay, so one of the things, the aspects that Mr. Ali asked us to focus on is how do we ensure that we get the easy marks in our HTML? Now, there are always going to be specific things that they focus on almost every time when it comes to the HTML. And the first thing that I want to go on is your basic tags. They are normally at some stage or another asking you about your head and your title, okay? If they mention anything about you need to have a certain heading appear in the top of the tabs, you know, then you are looking at your head and your title. Remember, your head comes first and then you put inside that your title. And in between your 2 title tags, that's where you're going to place your tab heading that they give you. All right. The next thing inside there, they haven't asked it for a while, but the comment can be asked as well for you to give something that they want you to show in the coding, but not on the actual web page. Then you need to insert that in between these 2 dashes that we have set here in the comment. And what's nice about that is in the data, you can refer to it because you'll see you don't see any of our 6.13s and our coding comments that we leave in there for where you want to get placing of the actual data. Then we have our heading styles and our font. When it comes to bold and italic, the font size, the font color, the font face. Please be very careful. They love to say to us, change the style. And then you all want to say font face style, or font style instead of face. Be very careful. They are always going to ask us to change the type of font that they want us to use somewhere. So the font face is very important.
Okay. Sorry.
Yes.
I see. Okay, now the person put his hand down. Never mind. Ladies and gents, if you've got a question, please use the chat. All my mics have been muted, so we will assist you. If you've got any question, please just use the chat. Thank you, Erin. Sorry, you may continue.
All right. Kim, will you just let me know if I lose signal? I'm just worried about the weather here at the moment.
Yes, I will let you know.
Right.
That's fine.
Thank you. Okay, so the font face, as I said, very common. If you know how to do your font face and you are applying it in the correct placing, you will get your marks. Because remember, position is very important in HTML. Okay, hyperlinking, they are always going to ask you to hyperlink. The bookmarking, not so much, but definitely the hyperlinking.
Erin,
Yeah.
sorry, we've got a question. I just want to quickly let you answer it. The question is, what is the difference between changing the text color of the body using body text color rather than font color? If you can just answer that, please.
Right, so in the top here, when we have the body color and the body text, if they specify in the question that the whole website text color must be a specific color, then we use our body text color because that will change all of the text. If they specify that at some stage they want only a certain paragraph or a phrase or a word to be in a specific color, then we use our font color. Okay, so look very carefully at what they are asking us to do. Are they asking us to change the whole website to one color? And you'll see one of the questions that we do here, or I think maybe it was last year's, in 2022, they asked us to change the whole website's color text to blue. Then we had to use our body text, not our font color, because the body text, the whole website had to be set blue. Font color we only use when we are specifying a certain paragraph or a phrase or a word to be a certain color. So that's the difference between the two. Okay. Right, so we've said definite things that they're going to ask would be our heading and our title, so the head and the title. The heading styles, H1 to H whatever. Our font, be it bold and italic and underlined, or down to our font size, font color, or our font face. We've then mentioned hyperlinking, very important. You need to know how to hyperlink to another website, to a document, and inside here, they even allow you to have a hyperlink on an image, all right? And then we have our paragraphs. The main thing I want to focus on here is our listing. They always ask a list. You'll see one of the questions we're doing, I think it's the 2021, and we saw it in our prelim. They had a list within a list. So a multi-level list is, in sense, where they had one list inside another list, and you had to basically make sure that it was working correctly. The types of lists, remember, we've got two lists, an ordered list or an unordered list. An ordered list is the one where you're going to have things like your numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, your A, B, C, D, or your Roman numerals, capital or small. And then you've got your UL, which is your unordered list. And this is where your disk or your square or your circle comes in. You need to know the difference between these three, or specifically between the disk and the circle. And I will show you when we are doing some of the questions what the difference is that you're going to have a look at. One is colored, it's a fully colored in circle, and the other one is a blank one that you can just see the outline of the circle. Then the next one we're looking at is our list items. In a list, remember your list items are definitely going to have to come in. For each item they want you to look at. The image, there's always an image that they ask. Remember, look at the alternative side, the alternative text, your height and your width, the source. They love to misspell this word. They say SCR and not SRC. Okay, so if you see, and I'll show you now with the colors in HTML with the Notepad++, if you see that this is black and it's not red, then you know there's a problem. Okay, and I'll show you all of those little tips as we're going through. Horizontal rule, know the difference between the size and the width. Remember, the size is going to be how thick the line is, where the width is how far across the page it's going to go. And then your table, this is normally where you're going to get your level 3 and your level 4 questions, is with the table. So if you know your border, you know how to insert a row and a column, and all of that, and you know the difference between TD and TH, then you'll be fine. You should get at least between 8 and 12 marks without having to do the really, really difficult stuff that they can ask in those questions. All right, my time is stepping on, so I'm going to start first of all with the 2020 past paper that we did. It was the one with the National Geographic and all of that. And again, if you have any questions, please put them into the chat and I will then be told and I will revert back to it. I'm not looking at the chat myself, but please do feel free to put your chats in your questions in the chat and then I will answer them as soon as I can. Right. How do we approach an HTML question? First of all, like I showed you, we have to open up our data in both the website as well as the Notepad++. And in our Notepad++, remember I said to you, we have certain colors that we can use to guide us as if something is right. Now, you all know that there's a tag and an attribute. Okay, so the tags are our blue ones. They are the ones that are going to tell us that this is the certain aspect we are looking at, and this is what I want to do to that aspect, and that's the attributes. So when we look at our first question in 6.1, we had to open up the 6.1 Nat Geo web page, and they give us a picture in our question paper, so in here, that show us sort of like this is what it should look like in the end. Okay, it's a guide. It shows us what we should be looking at. And there are certain things that you should pick up automatically when you are looking at it. Okay, things like, are there any centering? So here in the top, I can see my heading, my paragraph, my picture, and this little section underneath the picture is all centered. All right, I see it immediately and I make a note. And remember, on your question paper, write it. Put a little arrow and say center and all of that sort of thing. Then I have something that's underlined. Okay, it doesn't look like a hyperlink. Why do I say that? If I look at the bottom, this is a different color. Black, most likely blue. So this is just underlined. Then I've got my paragraphs, nothing special there. And then I've got what I think is a hyperlink, a possible hyperlink. And then I've got this section here in italics. Now, this is where I say to my learners, you got to put your OCD goggles on. With your HTML, Word, and a lot of the other things, you really do need to put on your little OCD goggles and pick up every little thing that is different. But with 6.1, we're lucky because they give us, for example, the questions and the bullets that we want us to answer. So if we start looking at 6.1.1, it says insert HTML tags to center the text that starts with pyramids and ends with other features. So as we saw in here, in the picture, from pyramids to other features. So in our HTML Notepad++, in here, we need to insert something that's going to make our font center. Now, there are two ways of doing this. A couple of years ago, they entered in the center tag. And the reason we use the center tag is because a lot of the times we find that when it comes to images and sometimes even headings, it doesn't want to do as we tell it to do. Okay. So we have then now inserted our center tag, which forces something to center. So I use my center tag in front of the word pyramids, there where my 611 is, and I go and I close it after the paragraph, because there's the opening of the paragraph. After the paragraph, I close my center tag. If I click on it, you'll see it goes purple. That means I have a friend at the top and I've got my friend at the end. Okay, so I have put both of my opening and closing tags in. Right, you could also have gone and you could have said font align or whatever it is, or paragraph or whatever it is, align, it's up to you. But because they've said we had to include the heading pyramids down to other features, that's why I've used the center tag. All right. 612, locate the heading pyramids and format it as follows. Apply the heading 1 style to the heading. So we are at this question now. Apply the heading 1 style to the heading and set the font of the heading to Papyrus. So I'm going to start with the first bullet point. My first bullet point said that I needed to make this a heading 1 style. So we know that's our H1. And I only want to apply it to this heading, pyramids. So I open and I close my H1 directly after the word. Right. Okay, so let's have a look and see. We've now centered our first section and we have now put pyramids into a heading 1 style. So there we can see it's starting to look similar to the first section. 6.1.2, the second question, or part of the question says, set the font of this heading to Papyrus. Okay, so inside, or not inside, in front of my word, I'm going to open up my font tag. Now, remember I said to you that when we open up a font tag, we have also then got our attributes we can add to it. They said we want us to change it to a font style Papyrus, okay? The font of the heading to Papyrus. Please spell it correctly. It's so frustrating when we are at the marking and we can see, we know that you should have done it properly, but you've gone and misspelled Papyrus, okay? If it is misspelled, it's not going to work, and therefore we cannot give you the mark. Okay, so it has to be correctly coded. Now, remember I said to you, HTML, the Notepad++, is a great tool to use because it's got different colors. Now, here you can see, I've shown you it's purple, so it's saying, okay, what I've got here, I've got there. But my attribute is red. My attributes are always red, okay, if they are put in correctly. So a lot of you, like I said, have used other things. So in here you say style. It's also red, but remember, it should be face, okay, font face. So if we save that and we come and we update it, we will see that it changes the font of our pyramids only. All right. No questions there so far? Can we move on?
Sorry, ma'am.
Yes.
There's just one question here that says, will they get marks if they use the center tag instead of the align tag? I'm sure it's for the
Yes.
previous one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, center tag is definitely allowed. If you align center, it's also fine, but then make sure you're putting it in the correct thing. Either in the font or otherwise you've got to add a paragraph or whatever it is, and then you're looking at changing some of the stuff. So that is why we're showing the center tag, and we've introduced the center tag into the syllabus as well. Right, question 6.1.3. We've got our question here that says, insert the image 6group.jpg below the first paragraph that ends with the text complex mortuary temple. Now, what's nice about them, they were very nice here. They even gave us the actual text, not the text, the file extension. And a lot of the times they'll just say to us, insert the image 6 group. We need to ensure we know what type of file this is. Is it a JPEG, a PNG, whatever it is? How do we do that? So a lot of the learners have asked, how do I do that? So if you are using Windows 11, 365, whatever it is, if you go onto your view section in your documents or in your Explorer, and you go down to show, you will see at the bottom here, it says file name extensions, tickets. Those of you that are watching me now, go and do this now. Go onto your view, show, and tick your file extensions. And you will see that all of your file extensions now will happen over there. I know a lot of you look at the type over here to see what type it is, but this is just easier. Then you know exactly what type of file you're working with, and we can find it easily. So view, show, and you tick file name extensions. Okay. Right, so then we can see it's 6group.jpg, and I'm now going to insert my image, img, source, and it's 6group.jpg. And remember, this is the one we close inside the same tag that we open. Right. Watch the spelling of source. Watch the spelling of your image, okay? Some of you, I know you guys have been taught to copy and paste the actual link to this picture. We do mark it at the end of the year, even though it's not going to show, because remember the link that you would have used was done at your computer you were sitting at. As long as we can see it is linked to this picture, that's fine. But we normally try to encourage you to just use the picture, because remember it's saved in the same folder as your HTML. So you don't have to go and copy and paste the whole path of where you're getting the image from. So if we save that again and we update it, we will now have our picture in there as well. All right. We're going to move on now to 6.1.4.
Sorry,
Yes.
ma'am, they're just asking if you could slow down a little bit. Sorry.
Okay. No,
Thank
that's
you.
fine.
Thanks.
Okay, so there's the image source for 613. Remember the spelling of your image source and the spelling of your picture that you're referring to. Okay, we're going to move down to 6.1.4. So in here, it states, an attempt was made to create a link on the heading, The Future of the Pyramids, to the website www.crystal.com. Modify the link so that the website www.crystal.com will open in the web browser. Note, do not click on the link that is there. All right. So the reason I say that is obviously because you guys are going to be not having internet, so it's not going to work. So then you're not going to think it's working. Remember, it will when you do have internet. So if we have a look at what we are working with. Now, this is another aspect that I need you to listen very nicely when I say.
Sorry, ma'am.
Yeah?
I just want to go back to the image. There's a question that asks if they leave the / on the image tag, will they still get the mark for the closing tag? I'm assuming if they leave it out.
If they leave it out. So that is one of the things that, because it's not a separate tag that does work on its own, we've had many fights at the marking venue. They have given it, but if you are typing it in yourself, always try and ensure that it is there. So one year we did have it where they spoke about it and they said that it was given and it wasn't inserted and there wasn't a mark allocated for it. But we always say rather be safe than sorry, and close it. But we have previously, in previous years, we have given that mark. We haven't deducted it from that top mark, that one that I said about the closing or the nesting or any of that. So I always say make sure it goes purple, but it would be, I don't think you'll be penalized, but I'm never sure. It changes sometimes. So just follow the good coding that we teach you, and that's to close all of your tags so that you ensure you aren't going to be possibly losing a mark. All right, so let's go back to our link. Now, this is one of the aspects that we find a lot, and it's very frustrating because you need to understand when we are given the data, there are certain things put into place that we need to modify or edit or change. We cannot delete something unless they say it's fine to delete it. You normally have to use what's given. Now, in 6.1.4, they are telling us that they started to try to create a link, okay? And if I look at my 614, in my data, I have this href. It's a random href that's just placed here, nothing in front of it, nothing behind it. And because they've said an attempt was made, we need to use what they've given here. Now we know to create a hyperlink, we need to add an anchor, and then we have our href. So remember, our anchor is there to make sure that we are anchoring the hyperlink onto the words between the two A's. And our href is a hyperlink reference. So where do we want to go from our hyperlink reference? So we are saying, right, if I click on the words, the future of the pyramids, where do I need to go? I need to go to that www.crystal, oopsie, and again, spelling.com. Okay, very important. If it is misspelt, you are not going to go to the right website. So therefore, you do not get the mark. And it's given to you in your question paper. So therefore, they are very strict when it comes to that.
Mrs. Adlam,
I'm here.
sorry, they're just asking if you could zoom in a bit.
Is that better?
Let's hope so. Thank you.
Okay. Right. So remember, we added the A because we have to add the A as the anchor. The hyperlink, the href, is our attribute that we've added. And then we are saying we are referencing it to where? The www.crystal.com. And remember, very important, there should be something between the two A's because that's what I'm going to click on to go to the crystal.com. I'll leave that up there for another 20 seconds. So those of you that need to add it can add it onto your stuff. And then we're going to move to question 6.2. Right, one of the things I do want to mention here is if you have now gone and created, because a lot of you, when we marked previously, a lot of them have gone and added in the ahref over here, okay? And they go and they add whatever it is. If that href is still here, you will lose the first mark because you are recreating a tag that was already there. And so that's why we say it's very important that you realize that what you are given is what you have to work with, and you have to modify and adjust it accordingly. So you would lose the first mark here. So if you're looking on your rubric, you would lose the first mark for the tag anchor, but you would get the second mark if it's going to the correct website. Okay. Right, I'm going to move on to 6.2. If there's anybody who is still wanting to ask any questions, we'll come back to that at the end of the session. Right, question 6.2. Let me zoom in here for you as well. Right, so in here we have got an incomplete web page. Okay. It needs to look like this in the end. It currently looks like this. Right, nothing near what it should look like according to the actual question paper. So it's supposed to look like this. Now, when it comes to this question, 6.2, I always say you need a pencil in your hand because you're going to play spot the difference. Okay, we're going to spot the difference between the question paper and what we are currently working with. Right, so you should have your question paper in front of you. I'm going to keep this one on the screen, and we are going to have a look and identify what we are going to have to work with, because there are 10 marks for this question. Right, 10 marks is quite a lot. So we're going to have to identify quite a bit. So we start looking from the very top of the question papers example. And we see we have a top 3 Egyptian pyramid fact. Now that looks the same as what it does on the question paper. Okay, if you look at it, that looks the same as this. All right, so we don't have to do anything to the heading. But if you look at the question paper, directly below that heading, I see a horizontal line. Okay. And that horizontal line I see goes straight across the whole page. So that's the first thing I need to make a mark next to, is the horizontal line, my HR. That I'm going to have to add in. Okay. Now I keep here, I stay here. I want to identify all of the things that are different so that when I start coding, I'm not going to miss anything. All right. I now move on to the next section, which is the table. So number 1, I've got a table. If I look at my picture at the moment of my website, there's nothing. There's no table that I can see. Okay. So I've got the text in there. There's the number, the answer, question, answer, and then I've got the question and the answer. Okay. So if you look at it, the number, the question, and the answer. And then I've got, again, the number, the question, and the answer. If I look at this table, I need to go and have a look and see how many rows do I have and how many columns do I have. So if I look at my table, I have 3 rows, okay, the heading and 2 questions. And I have 3 columns in each row, the number, the question, and the answer. So when I'm looking at my table, I have to create 3 TRs and 3 TDs per row. 3 table rows and 3 table datas per row, because I've got 3 columns. The next thing that I notice about my table is that my top row is bolded and centered. Now, you would have been taught that there's a difference between the table data and the table heading, and this is where it plays a role. My table data will create my different data columns, but my table heading will make the text in it centered and bold. It's like a style. Okay, so my top row needs to have THs, 3 THs, but my bottom 2 rows need 3 table datas. Okay, you all with me there so far? Can you all see where I'm finding the table information from there? 3 rows, 3 columns, top row are heading styles. Okay. All right, now we go to the bottom part of our website where I have a list. Okay. And again, I've got 3 list items. Most ancient, Saqqara, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and then for over 3,800 years. So I've got 3 list items. And notice, I have a look over here. My list type is going to be an unordered, because there's no anything happening there. And then we're going to have to figure out, is it a disk or a circle? But you can tell me that while we're busy. So in the comments, I want you to tell me, am I going to use for the unordered list, a list type circle or a list type disk? And then I'm going to open up our 6.2. So long in HTML Notepad. All right. Okay, so here we have our 6.2 facts. Now remember I said to you, this is where they like to throw us with a bit of a pizza dough in our face, because they don't give us anything to work with. There's no comments. There's nothing to guide you except the picture that they've given us here. Right. So that's why I say on your little piece of paper, on your question paper, you should have now marked off what is different and what we need to add so that we can move on from there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, first of all, we said the heading is correct. So I'm not going to change anything on my heading over here. But below it, I did need to add in my horizontal line. Okay, so I'm going to add my horizontal line. And as I do each aspect here in 6.2, I'm going to check to see how it changes my actual website. All right. So I've saved it, and there I've got it. There's the heading. There's my horizontal line. Okay. Are we happy with that? There are any funny things on the horizontal line. There's no color. There's no certain width. It doesn't only go a certain portion across the page. So we should be good. All right. So let's go and have a look now at our next section. So we've done the heading. We've done the table, the horizontal row. We're now looking at the table. So in our code, if I have a look, there is a table given to me, but then that's it. There's no table rows. There's no closing of the table. There's nothing. So we're going to have to add quite a bit here. Okay. Now, a lot of you have been taught to use your tab while you are coding, just to make it easier for you to see what you are working with. Okay. So I'm going to, underneath my table, start my first table row. And remember we said in our first row that number, question, and answer were not normal table datas. They were table headings. Okay, so I'm going to insert my table heading. And then I'm going to work smart and not hard. And I'm going to paste it at the end and the beginning of each of the actual words. Okay. Then, once you've done that, we need to close that first row, because now we've created our first row and we've created our first columns in that row. So I'm going to save. I'll wait so that you guys can ensure you're on the same spot as me. Right, and then we're going to refer back to here. So let's update it and see. Okay, so there I'm getting some sort of a table. Let's continue and see how far we get. Okay, so the next one, I'm going to add again a table row. And you guys can go ahead and add in your table datas for the next 2 rows as well while we are busy here. right, and we close our table datas. And then we need to ensure we're closing our table rows. Otherwise, we're going to have multiple rows and nothing closed. Okay, I'll give you a few seconds to get that done. All right, once we've done that, we are going to save. And I want you to check, have each of your aspects that you've inserted now, are they turning purple? Okay. Once you notice that, you'll see that my table is not turning purple. And that's because I haven't closed my table. Okay. So once I close my table, it turns purple. I save, and then we go and look to see what it looks like. All right, can I go on further? So let's update. And there we have our table. All right. So now we've done the third section. We've got one more section of this paper, this website to do, which is the bottom one, which is our list. Okay. Can we move on to that? Are you all with me? Okay. Right. So if we have a look at our list over here, we'll see that we said there is an unordered list. We didn't know what type it was. We needed to check. Was it a disc or a circle? Kim and Tanya, have anybody come back in their chats to tell me if it's a circle or a disc?
A lot of them comments, it's circle.
Circle. Okay, so let's go. So it's an unordered list. It's a UL. We're saying type circle. Okay. And remember, for each list item in my list, I'm going to put in my LI, copy it into the front for all of them, go to the end, and then close the LI. Oopsie. All right. And I'm going to copy my LI and close it. Remember, computers are wonderful things. They allow us to work smart, not hard. I mean, yeah, smart, not hard. All right. And then we're going to close our unordered list. So there we go. It's going purple. It's going purple. So let's have a look. Okay. Let me just see if I can zoom out to show you all. There we go. You're closing your LIs. And we're closing our list. Okay. Let's have a look now. We update. There we have it. And you'll see it is even adjusted slightly like you see it on the question paper accordingly. All right. And if you have a look at the changes that we've made, we added in the horizontal line, which was 1 mark. The second mark comes in with the rows that we've added in. Okay. The third mark comes in with our table data and table headings. The fourth mark is that there is a table heading and a table data. There is a difference between the two. The fifth mark is our closing of the table. The sixth mark is the UL. Type circle, 7. All the list items and the closing of each of them. And closing of the UL, which gives us the total of 10 in the end. All right. Okay, can we move on to the second paper? We don't have a lot of time. We've got 8 minutes. So in the second paper, I'm only going to do aspects that I know were a little bit more difficult. So we're going to go to 6.2.
Sorry, ma'am.
Yes.
Just before you go on, can you just show them how a disk list looks
Yes.
like? Maybe if you can just change that one so they can see.
Okay.
Thanks.
So the disk will look like the bullets that you normally have in your papers. So it'll be the colored in the full one. That's the disk. Okay. I always say to my kids, it's like a frisbee. They look like the frisbees. Okay. It's a solid thing. Where the circle is when you draw a circle, you don't automatically color it in. It's just you draw the circle, the outline of the circle. Okay, so there you can see that's a disk. And if I come back and I change it to circle, you'll see it's just the outline of a circle that you see. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's have a look at the 2021. I'm going to hop over to 6.2 of 2021. Let me quickly close here. And we are going to do the multi-level list. All right. I'm going to open up the question paper. I'm going to go straight down to 6.2. Okay. So in 6.2, someone was asking earlier about the body text and the font text color. Here's a perfect example where they're asking for the font color of just a heading to be changed. Then we use the font color. Whereas if they had said the whole website, which is what in the 2022 was asked, then we say the body text color is whatever they want. Okay. Then there's an image and the table, and then we're going to move down to 6.2, which is the 6.2 Pollute web page in a web browser. Open it in that and the thingy. So let's go into the data. We're going to open up 6.2 in Notepad++, as well as in our website. So that's what it's looking like currently. Okay, I'll zoom in a bit so those of you that are on a projector can see. All right, so that's what our web page looks like currently. And on our Notepad++, it looks like this. Okay, so this one, we've got about 5 minutes. So just bear with me to get through it. Runa, I might take 2 minutes of your time. I'm sorry. But
No
let's see
problem.
if we can get through this one. So when we again are looking at this question, remember, take your question paper, have a look at what it must look like. And we are now going to compare this to this. And we're going to see what the problems are. Right. So first of all, we start at the top and we work our way down. The first thing over here, this is supposed to be a hyperlink. How do I know that? There's an underline, okay? And you'll see just now in the code, it starts off with an A. So there's something that shows me there that that's a hyperlink, okay? So I write on my question paper, hyperlink. Then I've got a types of pollution, which we can see is a heading 1, all right? Then I've got another horizontal line. And remember I said to you, you're going to look very nicely to see the thickness and all of that. So this we can see is a black horizontal line. The color is black. Remember in our previous question, it was a light gray. That's the default color. This is a definite black, all right? So we need to make sure that the color of our horizontal line is black. And we can see that it is quite a thick horizontal line. So we're going to have to play with the width until we get something that's similar to this. All right. You with me there so far? So hyperlink, heading 1, black, and we're going to have to play with the width to see what we can get. Then we're going to move on to our multi-level list. We have our first list, which is an ordered list. Why do I say that? I've got numbers. Okay, so this is an ordered list that I start with. So I'm going to open up an ordered list, open up my list item, and then I'm going to go to another list, a second list. This is our unordered list. Now, what type of bullet am I looking at there? Quickly have a look and type it into the chats. Have we got a winner?
Most of them are saying square.
Great. Okay, so there we can see we have our square type bullet. And again, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 list items if you count them. Okay, so we're going to have 5 numbers and 5 bullets, right? And then we're going to close our unordered list after lead and then revert back to the normal list items for the last 4 the last 4 number points over there. Okay, so let's have a look at what our actual website coding looks like. So again, remember I said to you, we are not going to recreate, we use what is given to us. So if you have a look over here, you will see in the beginning of our 6.2, there's that home page we said that looked like a hyperlink. So here we've got an A, we need to add in the href, okay? Oopsie. The ahref, because we need to make it a hyperlink because it needs to be underlined. So therefore, the A was given, I add in the href, and they are telling me where it's going to. So I just add in the hyperlink there. You all with me there? Right? So let's save that and have a look. If I come onto my documents, there we've got a home page now. Okay, then we've got a type of pollution, which looks like it's the same thing. So the heading is there. There's definitely a heading style, and it's a heading style 2. Okay, so there we are given that. Great. Now I look at my next line of code. Color black. Now we did mention that there was a horizontal line, okay, that we had to add in. So there's no other horizontal line, but I have my color black. So let's have a look and see. You with me so far? I added my HR and it goes and I put it in. Now remember I said to you, we're going to change the width because it's a thick black line, this. So I say my width and I'm going to start off with a 3. When unlocks on was off. Start off with a 3 and then we go from there. So we're guesstimating at the moment. A 3, oh no. So what have I done wrong? Is it width or should it be size? Okay, remember the width is going to tell me how far across the page I am. That's still not thick enough. If I look at that line, it's thick. So let's go to a 5. That looks better. All right. And if you have a look at the memo, I think they did mention the fact that it was anything larger than a 1, they would have accepted. All right. Okay, so now we're going to hit this multi-level list. Right. So they have got the ordered list started. They have their first list item, which is the air pollution. If I'm going too fast, guys, just bear with me. We do need to get to the next section. All right. Now we said this ground level carbon, sulfur, nitrogen, and lead needed to be our square bullets. So I need to put in an unordered list, type square. All right. And then I had to have 5 LIs, right? So I close my LI. And then I needed to close that unordered list of mine. And can't type today. So that I could continue with my other ordered list, which was at the top here. Okay. So I'll leave that on there. Let's quickly save it. I'll leave that there for you to have a look at. We inserted the UL type square and the LI in front of lead. And we closed then our unordered list so that it can jump back to the ordered list. Those are the 3 things we changed there. And let's have a look. There we have our multi-level list. Okay, I'll show you the code again. You do have this in the memo that is attached that you guys have access to. So you can have a look there. And if there are any questions, I will be around at the end of the session after Mrs. Trotsky is finished with you when it comes to question 7. All right. I don't want to take any more time of question 7. So I know that was a bit rushed, but I do hope that this was a little bit insightful for you. Please go and practice the 6.1 of this just to ensure that you have covered all your bases. And good luck for the exams ahead. Matrix, I'm holding thumbs.
Thank you, Ms. Adler. We appreciate it. Now we go over to Ms. Trotsky. She's going to present to us the integrated scenario. Ms. Trotsky, are you ready for us?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Kim. Thank you
you.
so much, Erin. I really appreciate it. Erin is one of the senior markers for Cut Paper 1. She's always so willing. If I ask her, will you please assist us and will you please do another revision session? She's always willing, and she's always the go-to lady. If you want to know anything about HTML, that's the person that you must contact. But well done, Erin. Very, very well presented. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Right. Good afternoon, everybody. Afternoon, Mr. Ali. Afternoon to all the learners. You are the most important here today. And I really hope that after this session, I will, there's something that you can take home with you. Now, before I start, I want to just tell you, question 7 is a very important question. Unfortunately, in all my years, and we started with CAT in 2008, and in all the years, question 7 is the most poorly answered question. I think the reason is when you start with question 1, and by the time you get to question 7, there's no more time left, and then you rush through it. And now I want to tell you that question 7 got some easy marks for you. There's about always a chart in it. If I go down here, there's a chart. There's about always a mail merge, either in question 7 or in question 2. And for the past couple of years, it was in question 7. And this is a copy and paste. The first question here is a copy and paste. So that should be marks that you can get. So I want to urge you, before you struggle with a difficult question in one of the other ones, especially things like in Access, you don't know how to do the calculations, or you don't know the nested if and it doesn't want to work, or your images doesn't want to color correctly, or whatever, just leave it for the time being, carry on and see if there's something in question 7 that you can rather get marks for than to just leave the question. So I really want to encourage you to do question 7, especially maybe in the reading time. Go to question 7 and see if there's some easy things that you can do. So that's just to start from my side. Right, I'm going to start with question paper 2020. And it is the integrated question. Now, in this question, you'll find there will be, or there can be, word questions, there can be Excel questions, there can be Access questions, and there was also in the past HTML questions in your question 7. So it's truly a integrated question. So remember that. Now, in 2020, 7.1, learners, are you ready? Can we proceed? Have you got your notes and your question paper and everything ready? And then we're going to start question 7.1. Open the 7 years spreadsheet. So in your data, open 7 years. It's an Excel document. Right. And we're going to work in the chart worksheet for now. Question 7.1. 7.1.1, copy the data from cells A1 to B6 in the chart worksheet to cells A2 to F3 in the data worksheet. Now, copy was grade 10 work. So this is easy 2 marks that you should be able to do. So let's see. This part here should be copied. So select A1 to B6. Just select that area. Then you can copy. You can either use your shortcut or click right, say copy. Go to your data spreadsheet. Click in cell A2. And then when you click right, here's all my paste options, right? Make sure that you go through your paste options when you prepare for your exams as well. Maybe in the next paper, they will ask something else or some other option that you should use. The 4th option is your transpose pasting. So if you click on transpose, then you will see instead of columns, we will paste this part to rows, all right? It's from columns like this to rows in that way. So how do we know, or how did we know we had to do that? When we look at the screenshot here, then it should appear the same, and that is rows. Now remember, when they give you a screenshot, you have to look at the screenshot and make sure that you you see if there's anything different. It's most like Mrs. Atlam also said in the previous question, look at everything and see where's yours different. If we look at Excel, I'll see that this part here in column A, the year and number of tourists per year. If I look at my screenshot, here, then you can see it's right aligned. So it should be on the right-hand side. So if you go to your Excel, just select A2 and A3. And on your Home tab, you can just select Right Align. Right. And that gives you your 2 marks as in the question paper. All right. That is question 7.1.1. Now let's go to the next one. Another screenshot, right? Work in the chart worksheet. Modify the chart to display as follows. Right, so they've already given you the chart. Let's go back to the chart worksheet. Make sure you are here now in the chart worksheet, right? Now, what I normally told my learners is that you start from the top and then you just go and see what must be different here than the screenshot. So let's look at the screenshot. First of all, the chart heading is the same. No need to do anything here. if I go to the left-hand side here, can you see that my units is 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100? At the moment, this units is 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. All right, so you have to change your X units here. On the vertical X, click right, click Format Axis, and then on this side here, here's your units. Major units at the moment are 0.1. So here you can just change this one to 0.2. Right, and then you can close your Format Axis toolbar again, and you will see immediately, you'll see the change in your vertical axis here. And that is your units, 0, 20, 40, 60, 80. Right, this is the first difference. Now let's go a bit further. If you look at the bottom part, the legend, it says here that 2017, 18, and 19 are the only years that needs to be displayed. All right. So how do I do that? On the chart, if you click right, go to select data, and here's all the years that is currently displaying. So if you click on 2015 and 16, take it off, then only those three will display. And there it is, 2017, 2018, 2019. Right, are you all with me here? Same. And then the last part here, if we look at the example, yeah, what else is in here? Here you can see there's some data labels. The data labels for each section must display as well. On your chart, if you click on the plus sign, and then go to data labels. The moment you put your mouse on data labels, then the data labels appear. And then you can just make sure to click that. If it displays a bit different, you can use this arrow on the right-hand side, more options, and there it will give you more options that you can select if you need anything else to display. And this is the chart question. I think on the chart, if I go through the chart, this is everything that we needed to do, and it counts 3 marks. 3 marks.
Sorry, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah, they're just asking if you could slow down a little bit.
No
you were
problem.
a bit fast now. And then there's a question that says, why are you changing it to 0.2?
Okay, if I look at my screenshot here, I'll just go back. Let me click right on your axis here. There it was 0.1. Right. Okay. If you look at this part here, my units, it is in 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. If I look at the example in the question paper, the screenshot here, the units here are 0, 20, 40, 60. So the units is in 20%, right? And that is why I changed this part here. So click right, Format Axis, my major units, instead of 0.1, now it will be 0.2. If you look at the units and you see it's in 50s, 0, 50, 100, etc., then you will change it to 0.5. Does that answer the question?
It seems like it. I think there's a few who's asking if you can repeat. Maybe if we can continue, then we'll come back to the chart again later, ma'am.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks.
No problem. All right. Then 7.1.3. Save the pyramid chart as a 7-chart JPEG image file in your examination folder. So we have to save this as an image. Now, the easiest way to do this, on the chart, if you click right, Here's the option, save this chart as a picture, save as picture. So if I click on save as picture, make sure that you go to your correct place. Remember, this is an important part in the exams. Be careful that you don't save your work on a desktop or in My Documents or in any other place than where your original data, your examination data is stored, right? If your educator copy this to the CD, but your one answer is still on the desktop, then it will be lost. There will definitely be, you won't get any marks for that. All right, so please make sure that when you copy it to the correct place. So in this one, we're working in November 2020. In your data folder, this must be a picture. They say we must save this picture as 7 chart, and it must be a JPEG. So file name is 7 chart. And this type here at the bottom, if you click on the down arrow, there's my JPEG file, interchange format, and save. The moment you're done with this in the exams, go to your exam folder and see if you can see it there. Here's my exam folder. There's 7 chart. So I know I saved it correctly. You can even open it and see if it's there and if it opens correctly. And then you know you did it correctly. So don't forget about this part. It will take you 5 seconds. Just go and check if you didn't save it at the wrong place. All right. I see there's a hand. Is there anybody that want to say something? I see in the chat there, when I right click, the option save picture does not appear. I'm not sure if you're working, maybe you're working in a different office. I think that might be a problem maybe. The other way that we can do this is if we copy this or we take this as a screenshot, all right? Snipping tool or a screenshot. You can also do this as a snipping tool, and you can take it to your snipping tool, and in your snipping tool you can save it also the same way, 7 chart in your exam folder as a JPEG image. I hope that answered the question. So if your option, if you click right, save as picture is not there, take it to either Paint or take it to a snipping tool and save it from there. I'm not going to do it now just to save some time, but please make sure that you go and practice this at home. There's still a hand there. Is there anybody that wants to ask something? Can you please rather put it in the chat? I don't think your mic will be available to speak now, so just please put it in the chat. Somebody will assist you or I will get back to you. Right, let's carry on. The next one, 7.1.4. Work in the visitors worksheet. A named range has already been created for the amounts in column F. Right, let's first go there to visitors. This is column F. Now remember, if I click anywhere in a cell, here's my name box. Then you'll see I'm in D2 at the moment. When you want to give a name to a cell, you will change it here in your name box, right? So they say that the range for column F, if I select column F and I look at my name box, can you see there at the moment it says amount spent, amount spent. So that is the name for this range. So instead of working with, what is it, F2 to the last row there, from F2 to F194, you can make use of amount spent. Right, so that is a named range. And this question wasn't, well, this question was asked in 2020 for the last time. So make sure that you go back and you understand how do you name your ranges or a cell, how to give a name to a cell. All right, now the question, Insert a function in cell J3 that uses the named range to determine how many of the amounts will be a count in the named range are greater than 14,000. So this will be a count if. All right. How many amounts in the named range are greater than 14,000? All right. So we're going to be in J3. Going to use a count if function. You can either use what you normally use. You can either use your insert function or you can type this out. Count if. The first part they're asking here is the range. Remember, we've got a new name now. The new name is amount spent. And now amount spent. That is the range. Comma. And then the criteria. The criteria was greater than 14,000. The moment you work with greater than, equal to, greater than, and equal to, remember to put it in inverted commas. So greater than 14,000. And there's the function. Count if amount spent instead of A1 to A210 or whatever, greater than 14,000, 46 is the answer. Right. And that is your named range. Just want to make sure, is there any questions on this? Remember, they didn't ask it for a long time, so be prepared and know how to do a named range if you're uncertain. This will count 3 marks. Then 7.1.5, another question that they didn't ask for the last couple of years. Well, I'm talking about 2 years now. I think the last time we had a validation rule in Excel was in 2020. It says here a validation rule has been set on cells E2 to E194 to obtain data from the list in cells M4 to M9. However, there's some errors and omissions in the validation list, which cause data in column E to be invalid. Correct the validation list and update the validation rule. And then they're very kind with you. They give you a hint. To identify the invalid data, use the circle invalid data option from the data validation icon in the data tools group. So they tell you exactly what to do. Just want to see, this is for column E. If I go to column E and you click anywhere in column E, from the first cell to the last cell, right? You'll see next to it, there will be a drop-down arrow with some options here. Now, this was the validation rule that was set, what to use in the different cells in here. Right, so they say there's some, let's start with the errors. There's some errors in this one, so let's first look at the errors. Now, you find your data validation on the Data tab. And here it is. Please quickly see if you can find it. You're not used to this one here, so see if you can find it. Educators, if you can assist, show your learners where's the data validation. Right, it's this one here. And they said we must use the circle invalid data. Circle invalid data. Right, now, here they give us all the errors that occur in this section here. If we move to the right-hand side, here's my list, the validation list, COM, EDI, NET, ORD, and US. If you look at the examples here, here's an ORG, right? So this one here, ORD, is spelled incorrectly. So we have to fix the error in the validation list. So just go to your validation list ORD and change this to ORG. Are you all with me? I see somebody asked me to repeat the name range. I will go back at the end after 2020, and then I will repeat that for you because I know it's an important one and it's not something that we use every day. All right, that's the first one here. The second one is GOV. Now that's this one is omitted. So if you look at the validation list, it's not included in the validation list at the moment, but there is a space for it. So you can just type it in GOV, all right? And there's my list completed. COM, EDU, NET, org, US, and GOV. Right now, we have to change this validation rule so that it accepts everything in the list. If you click on column E, or if you select column E, I'm not sure if it's going to work if you select the whole column or just the inside, and you go to your data validation, and you click on data validation. Then you'll see it's a list, yes, and the source is M4 to M8. If you click on it, can you see that this M9 is not included in the selection? So the only thing that we need to do there is change the 8 to the 9, or you can just drag it again, and this is the source now. And then if I click there, it will include everything, and okay. The moment I do that, all my errors are gone. So we can try this part again. We can again go to your circle invalid data, and then you'll see nothing appears. So this error was corrected. Right, while I'm on this one, let me just see in the chat. Okay, the name range we will do. Yes, can we please repeat the name range? Yes, I will go back to that one. So are you all happy with the data validation? Again, the data validation is not something that we're using in all our question papers. Go and check it out. Speak to your educator. Ask them to assist you with the data validation. There's a lot of things that you can use your data validation with. So please go over this question again. Right. All happy? Let's carry on. Next one. 7.2. Now this is our mail merge. Now there's a mail merge in the next question as well. So what I will do, I'll do this mail merge, and then I'll leave the one in 2021. And if there's time, we'll get back to that one. But I think let's start with the mail merge. Yeah. So you can save and close your Excel, your 7 years. We're done with this part here. And then open 7 invitation, this document here. And this is a mail merge. Now, for the past couple of years, there was a mail merge in all the papers. There's also mail merge in the prelim papers. So make sure that you know the steps. The steps won't really change. I will tell you where there's a difference in the steps, but please, let's practice your mail merge. And it's 6 marks. Can you see 6 marks in question 7? Question 7 is out of 15. This was in previously all the papers counted 180. Nowadays it's 150. So your question 7 is normally 15 marks. All right. So 6 marks out of 15. It's quite a lot. All right. Complete a mail merge as follows. We use the 7mail database as the source. So this is important. You use the 7mail database as the source. We edit the source at the end so that only the data of those visitors who have any domain type and who are born after 1960. And then we have to replace name. All right, so let's start this section here. When you do mail merge, click on mailings. Start your mail merge. They didn't ask for an email message or an envelope or labels. So normally it will be letters. All right. They will let you know if it should be an envelope or a label or anything else. But for this one, it is a letter, right? So you click on letter. Nothing happened at this stage. You just made the selection for this. Just made the selection. Then the next one is select recipients. They gave us a database. So when you click on it, use an existing list. An existing list. Go to wherever your paper is, November 2020, and we work with 7 mail database. Then you double click on 7 mail. Nothing happened yet, right? The only thing that happened is that the source was brought into this document at this stage. Now we have to edit. Edit 2 things. It must be a list of Eddie domain and born after 1960. Edit. Here's my domain type. This part here is my domain type. Down arrow. And there you can see it, Eddie. And you select that one. So you see only the domain type Eddie will appear here. But they also ask who was born after 1960. So if you move a bit to the right, there's your birth date, right? If you click on the down arrow, no options displays here. So then you go to advanced. So select the advanced option here, advanced. We already did this part here, domain type Eddie. The next one, if you go down, select your birth date. That's the field that we're working on. Greater than. Now remember, if something is greater than, it's not including 1960. So when must it start? It must start on the 1st of January in 1961, all right? Or it ends at the end of December 1960. So 1960 can't be included. So if you use the greater than comparison here, then you type in 1960, 12, 31. So it ends on December 31. Right. Or if you use the greater than or equal to, then you'll start at 1961, 01, 01, because it must include 1961 as well. I hope you understand this part here. Right. Domain type equal to Eddie. Birth date greater than 1960, 12, 31. Okay. And that's all the selections here. Okay. Still nothing happened. Right? The next step normally is replace the text name with the merge field name. So go down a bit. Here's my field that needs to be replaced. Select name. Then we jump to the insert merge field section here. There's name. All the fields that you have to include will always appear in your insert merge field. So click on name. You can totally see the difference. When we mark this as well, we can see the difference. If you click on name, it will display in gray as mine at the moment. So you'll know this is a field. If I click on any of the other words, it won't display in a gray. But if I click on name, that is a field. There's no other field. This is the only field, right? So let's go. We start with start mail merge, select recipients, edit your list. There's normally an edit. Insert your merge fields. Then you can check it here if you want to. I'm not going to do it now. And then the final step, finish and merge. Always the first one, edit individual documents. It should be an all year and okay. Right. The moment you did this, you'll see there's a letter for Ivy, there's a letter for Edward, And at the bottom here, you'll see page 2 of 14. So now there's 14 different pages with different names. And that is your mail merge. Before I save this question, I just want to see if there's any questions.
Yes, ma'am. There's someone who asked if you can repeat bullet number, second bullet of the mailing question.
100%. Let's do this
And
now.
then they mentioned that the last bullet also needs to be done. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the edit part, edit source, is that right? Yes.
Yes, I'm assuming it's that one.
Okay, 100%. I'm going to close my the one that we just created. Not going to save it now, and we go back to this one. All right. So you understand, start mail merge, select the recipients is your source, and then you edit the recipient list. This part will come up, and now you have to edit. They can tell you something like they can ask you anything here, only numbers 37, only numbers 12 or whatever, or greater than 12. They can ask you anything here. Just click on the down arrow and make your selections. If you can't make selections here, you go to advanced and you type it in there. The first one was a domain type. Select Eddie. And then the second part was only born after 1960. In my birth date, if I click on the drop-down arrow there, it doesn't show me any dates. So here we go to advanced. We're working on the birth date field. And this year, they said only born after 1960. So remember, 1960 mustn't be included. So this is greater than, and then you type in your date, 1916, 60, 12, 31. Okay? And okay. After this, we inserted the merge field, name. So you selected name, insert merge field, select name, and then you jump and go to finish and merge, edit individual documents. I'm going to cancel here. I'm sorry. Just want to say something here. Before you do the finish and merge, remember this document, your original document, must be saved. So you'll save 7 invitation at this stage. If you go to the paper, it normally tells you as well, add a field to show the date and time when the document is opened, save the 7 invitation document. So they will normally lead you to save your original document here. And then you complete the merge. By completing the merge is this final step, finish and merge, edit individual documents, all, and okay. And now you'll see here page 1 of 14. So there's 14 pages. And again, this document needs to be saved at the correct place. If you save this one in the wrong place, they won't mark it in the final exam. They will give you a name, complete the mail merge and save this document as 7 invitation merge. So this document normally says something like letters 1 or letters 2, file, save as. Please make sure that you go to your data, not to the desktop, not to my documents, go to the correct place, and it is 7 invitation merge, I think. Whatever they ask you to save it as. And then you just click on save. Go back to your folder and see there it is 7 invitation merge. Make sure that your documents are at the correct place, saved at the correct place. And then you can close this question here. Right. You just see, and that is your 15 marks here. Yes.
They're just asking for the last bullet, where the field in the footer of the document should show the date and time.
Oh, didn't I do that one? Oh, yeah, it is. Sorry, I'm so sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to open 7 invitation. I'll open 7 invitation now. All right. So in my footer, I'm sorry about that. Thank you so much. Add a field in the footer of the document to show the date and time when the document is opened. The date and time. So if you're in the footer, right, go to your footer. There you'll see is your date and time. Make your selection. They say the date and time must display. So it will probably be this one. They didn't give you a format, so you don't need to worry about the format as long as the date and time is showing, and okay. Right, and that is that question. How we normally check this in an exam, if we press F9, now I don't know if this one is going to work, F9, Alt F9. Mine is not working now to show it's a field.
Ma'am, you can also just right click on it and say toggle.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, there is no toggle.
Yeah, I don't know why this is happening now. Okay, so learners, please, if you can click right on yours, just see if you get your toggle. You'll see there you can also edit it or you can toggle it. Just look at yours. Is yours correctly done? I don't know what happened to mine now because it was a field. Okay. Right. So that is how you add a field. A field is not to type it out. So you're not allowed to type out the name and the date, the date and the time. That is important. I see there one question, the last question here. Does it matter if you use capital letters or small letters when you're saving the document you did the mail merge on? Look at your instructions, right? It says here 7 invitation merge. So to be safe, because sometimes they don't mind about the capital letters, but sometimes because accuracy is also part of your marking process, then rather type it in the way they ask you to do this. Right. Only one document will show. Thank you, Tanya. If you didn't save, that's the one that you answered. All right. I think this is the mail merge one. There was a question that I must repeat the Excel part on. Just want to look at it quickly. The validation again, and there was also one for the named range. So, Tanya, what do you think? Should I rather do that and only maybe touch a little bit of the next paper, or must I proceed with the next paper?
I think, ma'am, you can repeat those that we've done so that they can just get an idea. There's also some for the chart, but maybe you can do the named range and validation. And if there's still time, you can go back to the chart.
To the chart as well. All right.
Yeah.
So then we just do 2020 for now. Please ask your educators to assist you with the other papers, but we'll see. Maybe there's still time to touch on something in the next one as well. All right. So I'm going to open 7 years again. Right, the first one here that they asked, maybe I should rather open a new one. No, I haven't got a new one, an empty one or a one that's not done. Let me do it on this one. All right. The question on the named range, just see, question 7.1.4. A named range has already been created for the amounts in column F. Right, so here's column F. Normally, when we make a selection, when we select the range, if they ask you to do anything in column F on this amounts, what will you do? You'll select the whole range, right? If you select the range and you put it in a function, it will normally show A3 to A or F3 to F194. But in this case, they say that there was a named range already being created. Here's my name box. If you look at your name box here, it is amount spent. So the name of this range is amount spent. Now I think I'm going to show you how to change a name, right? Say for instance, if I click on Giza, I'm going to click on H176. If you click on this cell, here's the name of that cell. It's H176. If you want to change the name, right, select that part and you type in the name Giza. And then you press enter. This is important. Don't click off with your mouse. You press enter. And if you click back on that cell, it will display as Giza. So this is how you name a cell. And the same with the range. You'll select the range, type it in there, press enter. If I click on the next cell, this one is H177. This one still is Giza. Right. So that is how you create a named range. I hope you understand that part. Now, if they tell you to do a function with the named range, remember the name of the range at this stage is amount spent. So now we do a count if equals count if. The range now isn't A2 to A194. It is amount spent. It is not case sensitive, but you must spell it correctly. When I practiced this yesterday or over the weekend, I by mistake type it with a D, right? It's not going to work, amount spent. You must have the correct spelling of the word. So that is the range, comma, and now the criteria. The criteria in this case is greater than 14,000, right? When you use greater than or equal to, always put it in inverted commas. So it is greater than 14,000. And that is the function. If you double click on it, count if amount spent instead of your range greater than 14,000. Is this one clear now? Do you all understand this part here? Okay, right. Then next one was the validation rule.
Sorry, ma'am, they're just asking, does caps matter on the named range?
Caps doesn't matter at all. It's absolutely not case sensitive at all. Right, so you can really use it in lowercase. You can type the whole thing in uppercase. It doesn't matter at all. But spelling, as I've indicated here, spelling matters a lot. If you don't, even if you put a space there, it won't work, right? Can you see the changing of the color? If I type anything here incorrect, like I did over the weekend, amount spent, it will be wrong. So it must be spelled exactly the same as in your name box, but not case sensitive, doesn't matter at all. A validation rule has been set on cells E2 to E194 to obtain data from the list in cells M4 to M9. Right, so if I click anywhere in column E, you will see next to that, there's a drop-down arrow. And this is your validation rule that was set. It's like a drop-down box that was set by using this part here. Just make it a bit smaller, sorry. By using column M, right? So what was wrong here? Gov wasn't there, it was deleted. And this word was spelled incorrectly, it was odd, right? So if I go to my column E, where the validation rule is set, on the data tab, that's where you find your data validation. Here's your data validation, click right, and they gave us a hint. Use the circle invalid data, and then they will circle everything that does not appear in your validation list. Can you see net and US and com? It appears here. That's why it's not circled here. So if we look at the first one, org, then we can see this one is spelled incorrectly. So we changed that to org. And gov is not in the existing list at the moment. So you type in gov there as well. Right, so we corrected the list. But you won't get all the marks only if you did this. In the question paper, they also said correct the validation list and update the validation rule. So we corrected the validation list now, but we didn't update the rule yet. All right. So how do we update the rule? Click on your cell E or select your cell E. Go back to your data validation. Click on data validation. Here's the source. Remember, it's this part here. If you click on this part here, it will show you which part is selected. Now, originally, this one was up to 8. So it didn't include list. It didn't include gov at this stage. That is why it was circled. So to include it, you can just change that to a 9 and OK. And then when you select here, circle invalid data, there won't be any errors anymore. Right, and this is your data validation. So where do you get that? Click on data, and there's your data validation. Not a popular question in every year's paper, but it can be asked. So please make sure that you do this again, go and practice it again to use this. Right, is there any other questions on this one? I see we've got 8 minutes. I won't be able to do the next one. I just want to see what is repeated in the next one. This is 2021. Can you see, yes, question 7.1, also a male merge, right? In this part here, they have some form controls in the letter. I think let's start, and then on the dot at 4:30, I will stop. But let's do this one here as well. Now, your form controls normally is in question 2, all right? And in this case, it's in question 7. Remember, question 7 can have any questions. So what must be open? The 7-letter document in 2021. So learners, quickly open your 7-letter. All right, the first question here. Oh, no, I'm in the wrong one. How's that? Change the form controls in the letter as follows. Change the form control below the text date to display the current date. When you do controls, and remember, sometimes you won't be able to see it if your show and hide is not on. So remember, work with this one with your show and hide. All right, so here's the date. Below the date is my field. If you double click any of these forms, any change that you want to make in your forms, you have to double click on it. Okay, don't go and insert forms or do anything else or insert a date. You just double click on it, right? Here's your text form field options. At the moment, it is regular text. So you change this to current date and OK. How do I mark this in a final paper? I double click on this, and if it's current date there, you can get the mark. That's the first one. If I look, I just want to close this one. It's going to bother me the whole time. The next one, add the option 14 in the drop-down form field control next to the text reply required within. Learners, can you see? This is easy marks. So for you to struggle with something in the paper that you cannot do, rather go to your question 7 and do the easy questions in question 7. I know there's some difficult questions in question 7 as well. In this paper, there's an AND function, and I hope your educators will do that with you later. So remember, go and try your question 7. Don't lose marks for something that you will be able to do, if I can encourage you. Here's the form field, reply required within. If you double click on the 7, they said we should add 14. So I if I click in my drop down item, type in 14 and add. Now it displays on this side and it will be part of the drop down options. And remember, you can move it. If they want it on top, you can just use your move button here. Right. And then, okay, how do I mark this? Double click. I see the 14, you get the mark. Easy question, easy marks there for you. This is the mail merge, so I'm not going to do the mail merge. Tanya, Kim, what do you think? Must I stop here rather and see if there's any questions and ask the educators to assist?
Yes, I think so, because already a few people have left
Okay.
the training, so I'm not sure if there's anyone who wants something specific, or yeah, maybe we can stop now.
Okay.
I think
Right.
so.
I agree with you. And it's a cold day and it might be raining later for those learners that must walk home. Right. I just want to say something. This is the integration part, right? Now, integration is Word, Access, Excel, HTML. Any application can be asked in this question, right? So I want to encourage you with the following words. May your words count, whatever you say. May you be granted access to all your dreams. May you spread your wings and realize the sky is the limit. And then for HTML, I couldn't really find one. And then I thought, okay, we just close this meeting. So I will close this meeting, all right? Use HTML for that. But remember, tomorrow we're going to open again 14:30. Tomorrow we're going to do Excel. Mr. Van der Merwe is going to do Excel for you. So please come prepared. Excel is most of the one of the questions that most of the learners struggle with, including Access as well. So don't miss tomorrow's lesson. It's the last lesson, and I'm sure you will learn a lot from that. Thank you so much, learners. Thank you for attending. Thank you for your kindness and being there in your classes. And yes, good luck for the final exams. Thank you.
Can I just take this moment? Thank you, Rina. Thank you, Erin. I hope you guys found this a fruitful session. You guys did an explicit job. If you can, ladies and gents, your emojis, you so badly want to use it. Let's just give them a round of applause to say thank you. If you are done, then you may sign off. Thank you, Rina, and thank you, Erin.
Thank you, Tanya and Kim, for your help. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
I see there are 2 hands. Please type it in the chat, please.